Alright everybody, welcome back to another layout update. We've got a good hunk of progress on fascia, on backdrop, a couple of projects on the bench, so as always, let's go ahead and get on into it. Alright, so first off, I've got a train running. I figured that'd be a nice change to have something running while the video up there goes. Anyways, first thing I want to mention, and this is what I'm excited about, the backdrop Mom painted a while ago is in, the hardboard over there is in, the LNY is mounted, so we got Wi-Fi in here. The only thing left to do is get a couple of UR92s and get those hooked in. Got a support in, so this piece of backdrop is in. Again, the upper level is going to be at the bottom of this, so the gap here is fine, and I also need it so I can still get in and do the light switch for the workbench. And then, as you can see, I got a big old chunk of fascia there. The UP5 is in it, so that works. All Loconet panels on this side are plugged in. This will be trimmed to profile, and then I've got the hardboard and the shelf and the sides all roughed in for the control panel here. That's going to be for the dual mode branch. And of course, we got that backdrop up, and the other obvious thing on the top, box frame made with leftover 1x and then ripped 3/4 inch plywood all the way around the rest of the framing for the lighting valence, never mind all the stuff up on top of it, is completely finished. So I had to take one of the hardboard pieces off right in here because it's too long. For now, I'm just going to get it patched back up because I got 2024 coming and there's other stuff I want to work on. But you can kind of see how I did that, and it was like it was a rush job. That compared to, again, how well this came out. So, like, I got a couple pieces of foam just sitting up there, but that kind of gives you an idea. By the time I come back and put Luan plywood on the top to stop any light bleed from the RGB LED strips run off the Arduino for my 24-hour lighting, it's going to look awesome. And then I've got valence. I'm going to make it wide enough that, again, I've got a whole bunch of like mini, probably got like 40 of them. They're little, say probably 4x6 inch picture frames, and frame pictures and frame the postcards and all that sort of thing. And I meant for that to go all down the valence. So redo the valence at some point, and honestly, I really, really like this height. This is perfect. So all those nubs that stick up are going to get trimmed off. This valence is going to move up to match that. I'm going to do some more work to it. Same thing over there, and trim all those nubs off. But that's the main thing for the update. All that hardboard's in all the way around. All the rest of the backdrop hardboard is up, except for this, because this has to be made into essentially a door thing that pivots out. And then, except for one piece of fascia there, I've got all the fascia in all through here, all the way up to there. Other thing I did over here, finally, I have all the 120 volts in, and then I also have I had it before, but if we look at the panel here, we got a PSX1 with the buzzer circuit added on, an older one I found at a train show. The power and the Loconet. You derailed. Why? Okay, fine. Yeah. The Loconet line and the power is in, and then a little hard to see, but really tiny wires. The 4 block detection outputs from the BD4 are wired into a terminal block. See if I can get where you can see this. Down, around, and there ran to the detector inputs on the SCHC. The board has 8 detector inputs. 3 of those are used because the siding here is going to be an infrared sensor because dual mode capable area. And then any others I need are probably going to be IR sensors as well. So that's what's been going on this side of the layout. I'm obviously really excited about having this in because once we get the seams over there and over here patched and get this painted and patched up, I can start actually trying to get this finished. So that's something that I'm really, really excited about. But, sorry, thumb annoying. So yeah, we're gonna fiddle with that. And I do have these switch plates finally, and I'll show you that in a little bit along with some of the air projects. So that's the big thing. And then of course that. Another thing to mention, and this will be out at some point. Me and some of the other gentlemen from the club up here in Huntsville took our modular setup to the train show in Gadsden, and it was an instant hit. We had 4 or 5 different people, and at least three of those were CUSA people. Come up and asked Mike and I, how'd you do the modules and everything. They even asked for his sheet of standards. They actually wanted to build modules to hook up with us. So that's starting to come into focus. Some other things with being able to set up a very, very large modular setup for the NMRA Regional Convention in Decatur at the beginning of next year. Really, really, really excited for that. That's coming together. I'm working on it. And a couple of things with that. So that's a really good report. Train show was awesome. I didn't end up getting much of anything except for a couple of necessities to some of the KD fiber washers. But honestly, we went partially down as it was also large part an experiment to see how proof of concept, and that part of it, which was the main reason we did it, came out fantastic. We thought we were maybe going to have a chance to set it up in Birmingham in the fall. That is probably not going to work out, so Will and I'll probably just sell a bunch of stuff. So right now, the general idea is we're just going to focus in on getting ready for 2024. So that's what went on with that. That's most of what's new on the layout. Oh, yes. Crap, they're out in the garage. I have been working on the replacement module frame. So just a brief rehash. When I first did this, so brief rehash on the layout, y'all. For those of you who don't know, this over here, you can see I've got my seams. Well, there we go. There's actually a seam there. There's a seam over here. I built these as sections on the last layout. These are not meant to be take apart regularly sections, though. These sections only come apart if the layout ever has to move. Same thing with this whole wall. So it's screwed. I have a couple main horizontal pieces behind that, and they are screwed into the wall in a couple of spots with like 4-inch long deck screws and everything else. Can't leave it off of it. So can this all come apart? Yes, because it's all screwed together, and I can get everything from below, so I can get to all the splice plates. But for all intents and purposes, this is permanent. The peninsula is module frames, we'll put it in air quotes, on a support structure made up of mostly 2x4s. Basically, to make a long story short, when I did this, I wanted to do modular, but I hadn't actually built lightweight modules before, so I used all dimensional lumber. And if any of you watching know anything about dimensional lumber, you're chuckling at me because what happened is exactly what you expect. Even though we hit this whole peninsula with check for plumb, check for level, hit it with squares, hit it with everything else, there's still wiggle. Um, Granted, there was maybe going to be a hair of that because I basically custom built each one in here. But the point was, I have come to realize that the flaw with the dimensional lumber is you'll get that wiggle no matter what you do. And after doing that valence up there and doing the new module frames and seeing how the guys down in Birmingham, a couple of them in particular, did their lightweight modules, and practicing building a few, the frames are just clunky. So I'll have replacements for all 6 of these eventually. For now, I've got these 3 done. They lay perfectly fine on the floor. Everything's great. So that long-term project is coming. The only one that I know for sure I'm going to try and get in here pretty soon, I'll probably just do all 3, but the one I know for sure I want to get in soon is the engine terminal, new engine terminal module. And the main reason for that is 2024 is coming up again, has a layout on tour, but I want to start operating sessions shortly thereafter. And I don't want to be taking engines on and off the layout constantly or have to use a yard track over here as an engine track. So that's the main reason I want to get the frame in and then get the turntable in, get the 3 roundhouse tracks and 3 or 4 garden tracks put in, and I actually have a engine storage area. And you don't have to pick them up on off the layout, and less handling, less chance of busting details. Which, yeah, I really don't want to break the plastic stuff off, details off in the BLIs, and I really don't want to bend and then have to straighten out and end up marring the paint with the brass detailing, with all detailing on my brass locomotives. So, reasons. But that's pretty much it for progress. If we move over here, and I'm going to go ahead and move these cars out of the way. Okay, now I'm curious what derailed. Because I heard, okay, that's it. So, as you can see, I am working on getting stuff ready. Test running cars, which obviously means some of them probably need weights. Go figure. But 3 projects to touch on briefly, and then I have one thing to mention with blot detection because that is working. But so first thing, these have been a long while coming, but finally, those of you who read MR Law enough for Great Mile Railroads, decent chance you know about Mike Brigette. So he's got a Chesapeake and Ohio layout that is set in like 64, just post steam. But what he does in real life is a signal maintainer for, I think it's CSX. It's one of the class 1s. Well, one of the things he does as a part of the hobby is he's got a company called CTC Parts, and it's this stuff. So, sorry, getting the shakes here. Essentially, it is fascia switch plates, levers, call buttons, basically all the hardware and plates and everything you need for the local turnout control and plates off of a CTC panel to actually build a CTC panel. So he builds these things for people. He has a bunch of the parts and he sells all the parts individually. So even though I am probably 3 or 4 years away from an actual physical CTC panel, which I will do, one of the things I needed for the time being was switch control plates, because these are going to go on the fascia, and the idea is if we want to come in here and just run for fun, we don't necessarily have to run the signal system. So that way it's not the signal system isn't on, which means we can't run the layout sort of thing. But he custom made these, so it did cost me about $330, but again, this is his design, and what he did, he put all the numbers in, he pre-drilled the holes, and changed that right there to thrown and closed, so it matches up with the thrown and closed off of the Digitrack Stralas. So, considering these, each bass is custom CNC'd out of aluminum, that's for what you get in the number I ordered, because I ordered like 30 of them, switch 30 through 60. That's really not too bad of a price, honestly. So, finally got those in. Yay. That's going to enable some other stuff because I've kind of been waiting on those to start getting local turnout control in. And now I can get them mounted on the new module frames, etc., etc. So, really excited about that. Another thing I've been doing, now this is for Nolan's. So, I am slowly working on this, but I am eventually going to need control panels for my layout. And this gives you an idea of what it's going to be like. So, ignore the plastic sheen. That's just the protective layer. But that's what it actually looks like. And this is a local guy here in Huntsville. He does engraving for trophies and stuff. And it was like $10 for this thing. Great. The guy does really, really good work. So he laser engraves this. I went ahead and drilled all the holes on this one. But he can take pretty much any design you want. And then if we flip the back over, I still have a couple lights to put on here. So this is for Nolan's. That is clear Lexan. Meaning the way he did this, I can backlight that. Which we're going to do for Nolan's and I'm going to do for mine because again, I want to be able to see, you want to be able to see the panels when it's dark. And again, on my layout, I have RGB LED strips. I plan on doing 24-hour operations, so gradually work through all three tricks. Morning, evening, and graveyard. So I need to be able to see the track outline in the dark. But, I mean, again, for the price, the workmanship is fantastic. And he's going to go up to like something crazy like 3 by 5 foot. I think is one of the biggest he's ever made. So that's what most of the panels on the layout are going to look like. That's one of the things I'm going to work on next. Because, again, now I've got modular frames and the control plates, so it's like now I'm going to get the stuff to actually go on these modules. Really looking forward to that. As far as rolling stock goes, I've been fiddling a little bit with a couple of our club members' engines, so this is not mine. This is Ron's, but it's over here because it had sat on a shelf for a while, and I offered to go ahead and give it a oil and lubrication job and just give it a good break-in test run. So it's been running at 10 mile an hour in reverse for like 3 hours now. I did the same amount forward yesterday, so I'll give it a little more and then call it good. But the really, really big project I have been working on for my own decoder install is the Challenger. So the thing is obviously torn completely apart, and basically where I'm at most recently, I added 2 LEDs to represent a ash pan tray flicker underneath, and then if you can kind of see it there, I ended up adding 2 extra harnesses. So the 2-pin on the right is a speaker connection because I'm going to do dual speakers on this thing, one in the tender, one in the locomotive, scale sound systems. And then the other pin is all the auxiliary lighting. So the existing 6-pin, that takes care of the track, the motor, the front headlight, and the lighting function common. The 2-pin I added is a speaker, and then the other 4-pin I added is the green and white front marker lights, the firebox / ash pan tray flicker, and the cab light. So this thing's going to have all the lighting on it out to the yin yang. It's going to be great. But that's how that's kind of... Ooh, shit. Okay, yeah. I do that to my own stuff. And I also replaced the front headlight. So one of the next things to do is basically solder all this up in here. So track and motor connections, test it. And then if that passes, which it should, I'll start working on the shell. So all the rest of the lighting, I'm going to put the wiring in the shell, and then I'll basically have a couple more micro pin connectors because there's a really big area here, and that way you can just unplug all the lighting going into the shell. So that's where that is. That's that. That's the control panel, and that's this. So the other locomotive thing that finally got finished, the gentleman that remotored my 482 Mountain, my brass cane 482 a while back at this point, just finished remotoring my River Rossi 484 two-tone gray Northern. So he's got that remotored. He's going to send it back here fairly soon, and then I'm going to run it every now and then, but it is probably going to go in a safe spot on the project rack until I can get to it and give it the full-on treatment. So he was able to get the front off of the tender, which is awesome because now I can move the decoder into the tender and drill holes in the coal load to put dual speakers in it, one in the tender, one in the engine. But he also got a backup light added, and then I can get a drill somehow and add functioning marker lights to it. So that is what's going on with that, but I got a bunch of other projects. So that is pretty much going to do it for this. I can't think of anything else. My phone battery is running really, really low, and I'm already at 21 and a half minutes. I'll stop rambling. But in any event, that's pretty much the gist of what's... Oh, I knew the last thing real quick. I have been slowly adding block detection. So one of the things I'm doing is prep for ops and for signaling. The wheel that looks a little different, like right there, is a pre-made, well, they're made when you order a batch, but they're Intermountain 33 inches with 10 ohm resistors on them from Litchfield Station. And it's about $2 an axle. So, not the lowest, but not too bad of a price. And I don't have the time to make them anyways. So it saves me a lot of work. All four of those have had it. And then to go along with that, because we redid when we redid the reversing section, we ended up including an area that was going to be a detection block. So to that end, the two things I've changed down here, and pardon the jostling while I get on the ground. Circuit breaker, the rest of the circuitry DS64s, and I added a DXP-A1, which is essentially Digitrax's update of the AR1, the main difference being it has LocoNet connection. So instead of having a Digitrax AR1 and then having to run the bus through a CT coil and run that back to a block detector to sense it, this senses it and it just sends it straight into LocoNet to feedback. So I have checked these and they work. I can pull up LocoNet feed on the laptop on JMRI and actually see the sections activating and deactivating. And then to replace the BD4 that was down here, I got a BD4N. And that is essentially the same thing. It's an updated. One of the nice differences with this, though, there is an adjustment pot right there to adjust your sensitivity. And it's got a couple of upgraded features, but the main one that I really, really like is you can actually adjust the sensitivity. That's awesome. And it still has the other headers, so you've got indicator LEDs. And it is in, and as you can see from the ribbon cable, pardon the messy wiring, over and down, you can see right there, the three of the detection blocks are actually tied in. So at this point, those two combined with the SE8C, I know it's probably working. I just haven't turned on the computer and ran stuff through it to see if it's registering. But at this point, that is essentially half the signal main with block detection up and running. So, haven't done the peninsula yet because, well, I want to do the module frames first, but also because for the peninsula, right now the plan is to use the RR Circuits 8 block detector board, since I'm using their tower controller as the main hub and I'm using their signal head controller board to actually run my signals. I put the SC8C in over there because, again, I already had it and a BD4, so I was trying to cluster stuff I had in one spot and get the RR circuits for the rest. So that is slowly coming along, and then of course resistor wheel sets. But so yeah, that is actually going to be everything. As always, thank you guys so much for the following, especially those of you who have been here a really long time. Those of you who are new, welcome. Take care. God bless. Comment, like, subscribe. Hit that bell icon so you know when I upload something. Click the thumbs up. Not because for the algorithm, so you all see the videos and so other people actually see the videos. But you know the deal, guys. Comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Take care. God bless. Thank you for watching another Goose and the Caboose Productions video, and I will see you on the next one.